So in this section, origin and conduction of heartbeat, we will talk about conducting system of heart, right? So in bracket, you can say conducting system of heart, right? This is the topic. So generally, if you'll see the internal structure of heart, you will come to know that heartbeat is under the control of three special muscles. So there is, I will write here that heart beat is under control of three special muscle, and these three special muscles are also called nodal tissue. Okay, later on we will talk about these three muscles. It will come. So you can say that initiation and conduction, initiation and conduction, conduction of heartbeat is under the control of three nodal muscles or nodal tissue, and as the impulse is originated in the heart muscles, the heart, I mean, as the impulse is originated in these muscles, which triggers heartbeat, that is myogenic in nature. So you can say that as the impulse originates in a heart muscle, mammalian heart is myogenic in nature. Myogenic means the human heart is made up of uh, myomuscles, okay, which is also called autorhythmic heart. There is a term given here. Autorhythmic heart. When we say myogenic, the meaning is the muscles. The muscles is going to initiate the impulse generation in the heart. Once it is generated, it will continue. It is not going to stop. Right. Next point, you can say that if during heart transplantation, what they do, they take out the heart and they keep it in a solution. So it has been checked that when heart is placed in a ringer solution. Now there is a ringer solution here. Might be you are thinking what is this ringer solution? So ringer solution is a physiological saline solution actually. So you can write in one line that this is physiological saline solution, right? Which contains salt. Saline means what? Saline means salt, which contain salt solution. So salt solution of sodium and potassium. So it has been checked that when heart is kept under this particular solution, it goes on beating. I mean, they are not going to stop, right? So this solution is important during transferring heart from one hospital to another hospital. So heart is kept under this ringer solution, right? So you can say that when heart is placed in ringer solution, it goes on beating. So there is a continuous impulse is being generated and it is beating for some time. Sorry. Sometime means it's not going to retain for a long period of time. If you want to keep the heart alive for some time, like 1 hour or 2 hour, you can keep it in the Ringer solution, which is in salt saline solution, which helps to maintain the heart beating up to certain time. So this particular Ringer solution confirms that the heart is myogenic. You can say this confirms that the heart is myogenic in nature. Fine. So these are some basic point on origin and conduction of the heartbeat, right? So,
Hmm.
so these are some. So I have introduced three special muscles. We'll talk about it later on. It will come. Then we have talked about how impulses originated. So impulses originates in the form of uh, impulse, which is a myogenic in nature. If you want to maintain the heartbeats outside the body, you must keep the heart in the Ringer solution, which is a salt saline solution, right? Now, when we talk about conduction, right, let's talk about the conduction point. So, topic is conduction system in heart. So, when we say the conduction system in heart, so actually conduction system is consist of three things here, right? So, in one line, you can say that first is first conducting system of heart is SA node. Now, the full form of SA node is sino atrial node, right? NADE node. This was discovered by also called Keth node based on this name of the scientist who have discovered this SA node, right? So in bracket you can write discovered by Sir. See, and there's a Sir is the name given to the person who has done some remarkable work. So discovered by Sir Arthur Keth. And Martin Black. These are the scientists who work on SA node and they have tried to find out where they are and what they do. So if I have to show you the location of heart, location of SA node, let me show you. In one diagram, I will show you all the location of SA node, then AV node, and one more which is called bundle of His. Hope you all know. I mean you have done know this term, bundle of His.
Yes, sir.
Right? Let me show the image first. This is yeah, this is okay. This is okay picture. Whatever I want to show you, that is there in this. Okay, wait, let me open that website. Then it will be easy for me to download. Yeah, copy image. Okay, I can do one thing. I can cut it. Fine. So let me show you all the locations. So in this particular section, we will talk about all the nodes present in the heart. So first is this SA node, second is the AV node, and the third is bundle of His. If you can see, the bundle of His is sending impulse via septum to the lower part of the heart. See the arrow. Arrow shows the impulse, how they are going. So SA node is the initiator of the impulse. Impulse travels to this part, and then to AV node. And from AV node, impulse goes down through septum and goes to the lower part of the heart, which is called bundle of His. Right. So when we say bundle of His, actually uh, they are network of Purkinje fibers. This particular thing, the yellow line, labeled as a Purkinje fiber. Right. So we'll draw one more diagram to explain you. So first, let's talk about what is SA node. Okay. So SA node, first of all, the exact location where it is located. So SA node is, it lies on the right, this is the right part and this is the left part, right? So right wall of right auricle, right? Below the opening of superior vena cava. So this is the opening where the superior vena cava is, and just below to it there is a SA node, right? This is superior vena cava. So first point you can write about the location. So you can say it lies on the right wall of right auricle below the opening of superior vena cava, and is also called right sided structure, because this right sided structure means, first of all, it is located on the right side, and the right side is the only part chamber of the heart which receives the blood. So everything originator is the right part. That is why the name is based on this. Second point, let's see what is happening here. Actually, if you'll see the origin of SA node is actually in reptiles and in fish heart. We have seen the term sinus venosus, right? If you remember. So SA node is represents the remains of sinus venosus. So that's the second point. You can say it represent the remain of sinus venosus. In the fish structure, in the reptile structure, I have shown you the structure called sinus venosus, right, which is present on the right side. Same here, the right auricle, the SA node, is actually representing the remain of sinus venosus. Now, when we talk about SA node, that means SA node is going to generate an impulse. Okay, so SA node generate action potential 70 or 75 times per minute. That's the speed, and is responsible for initiating a rhythmic contraction. Right. That's why that is why we call SA node as a natural pacemaker. Hope you heard the term pacemaker,
Yes, sir.
which initiates the nerve impulse.
Hmm.
So see, when I'm saying 70 times per minute, that means whatever impulse your neural system are developing right now is 70 times greater in the heart muscles. So like suppose someone is okay, wait, we'll give that example later on, not now. So you can say that SA node generate Action potential. Action potential 70 to 75 times per minute. Okay, and is responsible for initiating a rhythmic contraction, means contraction and expansion. This process is continuously going on. Contraction of heart. And so it is called natural pacemaker. Now, if you will see the word pace and then maker, pace means speed, right? So SA nodes maintain the rhythmic contraction and the expansion of the heart valve, heart muscles wall. So hope you know what is action potential, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So action potential is generated here and then which is received by AV node, and then AV nodes with the help of Purkinje fiber, the yellow color thing which you can see going down. Uh, Let me show you one more image of this. I'll show you the Purkinje fiber. Yeah, see this. There are so many Purkinje fibers are there. Yeah, this is fine. Let me copy this. Wait, let me take some other images. Yeah, this is fine. Hope this will work. Yeah. So in this section, they are just showing the SA node and AV node and Purkinje fiber. See, they have not shown the internal structure of the heart. Simply, they are showing from outside. You can compare this particular diagram with this one. This is internally where it is located exactly. They are showing the position in the chambers. But in this section, they are showing how they are connected. Right. So now what is the speed of the impulse? At what speed they are moving? So you can say that the impulse travel at a rate of 1 meter per second. That's the speed. Now you can imagine how fast the pumping is going on. The impulse travel travels at the rate of 1 meter per second on two auricles, means the upper part. See how fast they are moving. So the impulse reaches from SA node to AV node, means from red to black, red to blue. You know how much time it takes? This is taking 0.3 second SEC. So this is the very short duration. I mean very short distance. So the impulse is traveling very fast. Or you can say that the impulse reaches from SA node to AV node in 0.3 second, but cannot pass to ventricle because the muscle fibers muscle fiber of auricles and ventricle are separate by a thin layer, actually thin layer of fat, thin layer of fat called annular pad. Now let me show you how annular pad look like. Okay. Yeah, this one. Can you see this yellow? So what they have done, they have removed the upper layer and then they are showing the next layer. This is quite yellowish color. Actually, it is a fat color. You can see here, annular head. From inside they are showing actually. Right? So you can say here. So both auricle and the ventricle are being separated by a thin layer of fat, which is called annular pad. That is why the impulse is not reaching up by that speed. So as the impulse originates at SA node, auricular systole precedes and ventricle will systole. Okay, so that's our next point. As impulse originates at SA node, auricle, or you can say auricular systole precedes and ventricle, or you can say ventricular systole, right? Now as SA node has the highest degree of autorhythmicity but less conductivity. So they can release the impulse fast, but when it comes to conduction of impulse, they are very slow. Right? So that is the last point. You can say that SA node has the highest degree of autorhythmicity but less conductivity. So you can't say that SA node is the master of everything in the heart. That is why you have one more node which is called AV node. So AV node will do the rest of the work. Right. So now we will see what AV node is doing. That is the second. First we have seen SA node. Now we will see AV node. AV node is called pace setter. So now SA node was pacemaker. They have developed the pace in the heart. Now who is going to maintain? That is AV node. That's why we call them pace setter. And AV node stands for auricular, ventricular node. Right? This is the name. So let's talk about the location and what they do, only in one or two points. First is AV node, where it is located. It is located in the right auricle itself, but near the septum. Let me show you here. Yeah, see this one. So their location is also in the right atrium near the junction of septum, right? So you can say that AV node lies on right atrium near the junction of interauriculoventricular septum. Septum means which divide right and left, and septum close to the opening of coronary sinus. Now let me show you where the coronary sinus is. See here. Yeah, this one. Structure are quite. Yeah, here. This is coronary sinus. See this one. So AV node is present here. You can see my location of cursor where it is. This is SA node, and AV node is present here near the coronary sinus, which is a nerve impulse actually, right? So you can see that AV node was discovered by the name of the scientist. AV node was discovered by his. It's the name of the scientist. Okay. Then what they do? They receives impulse from SA node and conduct the impulse or sends impulse to the lower part of the ventricle. That's the function. So you can say that it conduct the impulse from SA node to bundle of his. That's their function. And what is the rate? At the rate of 1.5 to 4 meter per second. This is again quite fast, right? Because they have to maintain. So when someone have a role to maintain something, they will give some extra energy, extra things, so that even if later on they are going to get slowed down, they will maintain the minimum of 1 meter per second. Got it? Second reason why it is fastest, why the rate is fast here, because impulse should go down to the lower part. See, from this bundle of hairs, the impulse is going down, and they have to send impulse to the entire lower part. So that's quite important task. That's why the rate is higher. Is it fine? Hope you are understanding. Next,
Yes,
next
sir,
is
I'm understanding.
next is bundle of his, the muscles which are helping to send the impulse to the lower part of the heart. Bundle of his. Let's see this. Bundle of his. First of all, it is arises from AV node. Arises from AV node, and where it is entering. If you see the diagram, it is entering actually in the interventricular septum, in the septum part, and then goes to the lower side and then divide into left and right branches, right? One goes to right part, one go to left part. So we'll write that thing, that enters into interventricular septum and divides into right and left branches, and then the impulse is spread to the lower side. Now I have talked about Purkinje fiber. You can see here in this particular diagram that as the impulse is going down, it is again further branched into a network of Purkinje fibers, which is blue in color. What is their role? To send the impulse to the lower part of the muscles, right? So you can say that the two branches means left and right branches, conduct impulse into the wall of ventricle by a network of Purkinje fiber. Purkinje fiber. Fine. Now the question is, if suppose, let me go up, let me show you the diagram. If suppose AV node is damaged, so if if SA node, let's talk about the green one. If SA node is damaged, the heartbeat becomes irregular. Okay, and this conduction is called, there is a condition in which you have to put an artificial pacemaker, right? That is required. So you can put a note point here that if SA node is damaged, the heartbeat become irregular, right? This condition is called arrhythmia, and this can be prevented by using artificial pacemaker and may require an artificial pacemaker which helps to maintain the activity of the natural pacemaker. So generally, if the natural pacemaker is damaged, we can give artificial pacemaker, and we can maintain the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the heart muscles, right? So in this section, we have just discussed about the conduction of the impulse in the heart, right?